Anticipation. No one was surprised when it began. The waiting had been heavy, filled with the knowledge that it would not end quietly. Every man knew what was coming. Fear was not a question of if, only when. In the spring of 1940, the German army moved with speed and precision. One country after another fell. The strategy was clear. Cut Britain off from Europe, surround it, isolate it. France collapsed faster than anyone expected, and now the British army was trapped. The British Expeditionary Force was pushed north toward the coast. With their backs to the sea, retreat was no longer an option. Dunkirk was all that remained. The roads behind them were cut. German forces closed in from all directions. What had begun as a retreat was becoming an encirclement. Time was no longer on their side. Each hour tightened the pressure on the force. Whatever was going to happen, it would happen soon. Delays were becoming dangerous. The margin for error was disappearing. The German advance did not stop. Airstrikes followed the retreat. Roads, ports, and columns of men were exposed. From a distance, the evacuation could be seen. Vulnerable, slow. The enemy was watching. The evacuation of Dunkirk was unlike anything attempted before. Warships, fishing boats, civilian vessels, all crossed the channel under constant attack. Bombs fell on the beaches, ships burned at sea. Every man rescued was a victory. Every delay was deadly. The operation relied on speed, coordination, and improvisation. Many of the vessels had never been meant for war. Crews sailed without armor, without protection, and often without orders. The beaches offered little cover from the air. Men stood exposed for hours, waiting to be taken aboard. German aircraft returned again and again. Each crossing became a race against time. Smoke and fire marked the coastline. Discipline held even as exhaustion set in. Survival depended as much on chance as on planning. While the evacuation continued, Germany pressed forward. The war was far from over. Plans were already being made for the next phase. Britain was still the target. In the chaos, individual names were noted. Men who had survived. Men with visionary minds. As reports were written, the war in Europe continued. Thomas made it home, but the fighting did not stop. Germany tightened its grip across Europe, Cities fell, armies marched. The cost of war was felt everywhere. Occupation followed conquest. Borders disappeared almost overnight. Civilian life was reshaped by force. Resources were redirected to sustain the war effort, and resistance, where it existed, was met without mercy. German forces continued their advance without pause. Attacks were carried out with overwhelming force. Towns were bombed to break resistance. Infrastructure was destroyed to prevent retreat. Entire regions were brought under military control. Occupation followed immediately behind the front lines. Civilians were subjected to violence, intimidation, and reprisals. Military power was used to enforce submission. Expansion was pursued relentlessly, and the war widened with every new conquest. Across Europe, people waited, prayed, endured. After years of destruction, the war finally came to an end. Germany was defeated. The Allies, alongside the Soviet Union, prevailed. Cities lay in ruins. Millions had been displaced. The cost of victory was immense, and the world that emerged was permanently changed. Now, a new era begins. Peace did not mean rest. It marked the beginning of a new and uncertain struggle. Before he left, he stood with his love once more. They had survived war together, carried by hope, letters, and brief reunions. Saying goodbye again was familiar, but this farewell felt heavier. What awaited him was not another battlefield, but a colder war shaped by fear and secrecy, an invisible one, espionage, influence, power.